Well, if you would, get up off your feet, make some noise, and welcome to the stage, Miss Jaime Cross.
It's an honor to be here today. Russell Brunson, you've changed my life. Thank all of you. Woo. Thank you. The most powerful force on the earth is the human soul on fire. And I would contend that the most powerful force behind that force is a life on purpose, in pursuit of vision relentlessly. There's an ancient proverb that says, without a vision, the people perish. So it makes sense to me that with a vision, people come alive. How many of you guys are ready to do that and be alive? As I share today, we're going to talk about the perfect webinar. We're going to talk about e-commerce. But if I could challenge you to one thing, one takeaway, it would be this one thing. That you remember who you are. That you remember the voice inside of you that said you could take the world by storm. That you remember the voice and the dreams that maybe you've set aside and said, oh, that didn't fit the mold. It's time to rise. It's time to become. And it's time to do the thing that all of you are called to do because the world needs us. Are you guys committed to that today? Well, I didn't know that stuff in 2010, and I wanted to share a little bit about my story, things that I haven't really told that many people, but after hearing Nick yesterday, I thought, you know what, I'm going to share some of my mess with all of you. So in 2010, I had given up my job as a corporate banker. I was making really good money. We found out after 5 years of trying to get pregnant that we were going to have our first baby, so I came home. And I was starting to feel empty, and I was feeling guilty for feeling empty. And I was so fulfilled as a mother and as a wife, but I knew that there was more. How many of you guys have felt that pain of knowing that there's more and yet being so satisfied? I looked at my future, and it haunted me. I was afraid of the pain of mediocrity, and I felt that that's where I was at. And to be quite honest with you, I was in a place where I was depressed, I was feeling alone, I was feeling terrified. And there were days that we would be driving down the road and I thought, you know what, it would be less painful right now if I could open the door and throw myself into traffic and just disappear. And so I cried out. One night, I was lying in bed, in tears, feeling empty. And I cried out to God and I said, God, I need you to show me what this is, what you put inside of me. Because I know that there's a purpose and a calling for me, and motherhood and being a wife is just a part of that. And in that moment, I asked God to show me $1 billion idea so that I could change the world and transform my family's legacy. And I called out to him, and that next Sunday morning, we were at church, and our pastor was alive, and he was sharing this message, and he stopped, and he came to the edge of the stage, and he put his hands on his heart. He said, this has never happened to me before. But God just spoke to my heart and said that there's a stay-at-home mom in the audience here who he wants to give $1 billion idea to, so get ready for it. And I about jumped out of my chair, and I was like, God, it's me. Whatever you give me, I'll be faithful with it. Just show me. And it wasn't that long after that I had a dream. And I saw myself pouring all of these oils, and there were these vats and these beautiful botanicals. And I saw MIG coming up out of my dream, and it was like a blueprint. It was everything that I needed to get started. And it wasn't even so much that what I saw, 8.5 years later now that we've been in business, I can still close my eyes and see that dream as if I had been watching a movie. But it was more than what I saw. It was the power and the force. And I could see myself pouring out in these oils, my life being poured out into people. I could see the transformation. And I woke up that next morning and I said, Nathan, I told my husband, this handsome man right here and our 4 boys, I said, Nathan, I'm going to start a skincare company. And he did what he always does, and he said what he always says. He says, go, babe, I'm with you. And that day, I went out and I found books on chemistry and herbal alchemy and Ayurvedic medicine and naturopathic medicine, and I spent next year just studying and researching. 2 a.m., I was nursing my newborn. Weekends, bath time, nights, mornings, every second I had, I was studying. I was pouring myself into information. I was learning and I was growing. You know, to become a force in the earth, we have to grow behind closed doors when nobody is watching. We have to be willing to pay that price. And I knew to get to the next step, I needed to learn. So I just poured myself into that. A year later, I poured our very first bar of soap, and it was perfection. I had done all this research, and I had no money to package it or to build this nice website. So I took my raw products, and I literally just started walking up and down the streets of Denver and Colorado Springs, asking for stores, asking for buyers, asking for owners. And I would call my mom and say, Mom, I need your help. I've got the babies. She'd come pick us up. She'd load them up in the back. And 8, 9 hours a day, 4 or 5 days a week, she would drive slowly up and down these streets while I would walk in selling my product. You know, like, how many of you guys are hungry for change and to do the thing? I had a lady ask me a week ago, and she's like, weren't you nervous walking into all these stores? And I thought, yeah, but you know, what is this? We pay so much attention to this, my flesh. Your flesh, the spirit is willing, but the flesh is weak. The flesh will always fight you on progress. The flesh will always try to keep you comfortable. But don't make confidence your focus. Don't make overcoming fear your focus. Make action your focus. Taking action. Action always creates clarity, and it will always create momentum in your life. Even if you don't exactly know what to do, you just need to take the next step. And don't overcomplicate action. Don't get wrapped up in the mental game. Just do it. Just do it. Do it, right? Just do it. Everything that you're learning here over the next couple of days, just do it. You guys, they need us. They need you. Just do it. Stop playing this, I gotta read books to learn how to take action. Just like get out there and do it. Forget about your flesh and get it done. And in the end, of course, it doesn't matter what you feel, it matters what you do, right? So the next step was farmers markets. I actually hated the wholesale retail model, and so I was like, I need to evolve here. I don't know my customer. I don't really even understand my products. I don't know what people need, and I need to fill that need. I need to fill that void. And so I jumped into doing farmers markets for 4 years. Let me just tell you, farmers markets are hardcore. There's 3 other businesses there competing for the same customer, selling the same products, sharing the same message, and they're sending their people to your table to hack your message, and it's like hardcore. You're waking up at 5 a.m., driving all over the state, setting up your table, standing in the cold and the rain and the wind. But I did that for 4 years with the entire intention of failing forward and R&D and research and development and who is she and what does she want and what's her language and how do I speak to her in a way that touches her soul. So a couple things happened over that period. You know, you got all these people walking by your table, and it's like, hey, do you want to try some body butter? And they'd be like, no, I'm good. So I was like, okay, well, that didn't work. Would you like a hand massage, you know, standing at my table? No, I'm good. So I was like, hey, does your skincare have smooch factor? And they'd be like, oh, smooch factor? What's that? I don't think my skincare has smooch factor. And it was a way to get them into my table and engage them and give them my pitch, which I was developing that at the same time, where we'd have these guys with beards in Colorado, lots of beards. Who here has a beard? Who here likes beards? Okay, that's awesome. So we'd have these guys coming to our table, and they're like, oh, I have 2 bottles of beard oil already at home. And I'm like, well, okay, so I have to figure this out. Okay, what am I going to say to these guys? So I'm like, well, it's actually not beard oil, it's man face. And you can use it as a pre-shave and an aftershave. And if you shave your neck, then it's going to help you with your ingrown hairs and discomfort and blah, blah, blah. And they're like, oh, that's great, maybe I'll take one. And I was like, well, but actually, and it's also man face that's certified manly. And they're like, okay, we'll take 2 bottles. So I just continued to evolve my message and figure out what was grabbing people, what was hooking them. And I was enjoying that whole process, knowing that it was fail forward. At the time as well, I had 2 mentors. One of them was a man who was very high up in a multi-level, and he was like, hey, Jamie, I want to see what you're doing. I've heard about this thing that you're doing. So I went and I showcased my entire product line. And he goes, oh, yeah, that's great. I don't know, I think people at times will be threatened by your force. I think he might have been threatened. And I said, yeah, we'll compete with Amway one day. And he goes, you'll never compete with Amway. And I remember, it didn't even have to come out of my mouth, it was in here. I was like, you just watch me. And another woman, she's like, oh, I never shop for natural products because they don't really work. And I was like, game on. All this work that I've been doing on the human body and understanding how we're designed to heal itself and the science of nature, I've got to be able to bring the 2 together as a force. And so after thousands of hours of evolving my product line and formulating and reformulating and formulating and reformulating, I was getting table rushes every week. I had to hire 2 girls just to take money. And they were like, Jamie, my eczema's gone. Jamie, my psoriasis is gone. My acne is gone. My back is out of pain because your muscle balm works. I got off my heavy prescription drugs with my sleep balm because your sleep balm works so well. Or Olympic athletes were driving all the way to Denver from Colorado Springs, and they were like, I'm performing 10 times better because your palms are working so well. So it was the work and the trial and the error and really tapping into the marketplace. But it worked, and we did that. So, oh, wrong button. Okay, so this is where I'd like to really dive into what I did when I went digital. So I did that for 4 years. I came to the point where I understood what people wanted. I knew my customer well. I understood how to speak her language. And I knew my products were going to create, by the way, we do have over 54% return customer rate, people on subscribe and save and coming back for more, which is an incredible part of just building out the back end. But here's where I'd like to dive into where I found Russell, which was an amazing experience. So I was pregnant with our 4th baby, and I was hemorrhaging, and we thought we were going to lose him. And so I went through this process of, I've got all this time in bed, and I know it's time to grow, and I know it's time to explode this thing online. So one day, I was online, and this video pops up, and there's Russell Brunson and Trey Llewellyn, and Trey's talking about these gun cleaning kits, and I was like, I could totally do that. He's doing gun cleaning kits. I've got soap, it's basically the same thing. I could totally do what he's doing. I called Nathan, I was like, I found it. This guy, Russell, and he's giving free t-shirts away, so I totally have to sign up now. Who here is a sucker for Russell's free t-shirts? So I was also just like, I need a mentor who can really teach me principles, because I'm building something that's going to stand the test of time, and I need to know that what I'm doing is going to work. And so we had our baby, and he was hospitalized for a month, and we didn't think he was going to make it. The nurses were walking into the room saying, sorry, we can't make any promises. And that's where, again, I went into that place of just, I'm terrified. and Nathan's about to go back to work, and I'm going to be left home with a newborn, ill baby, and my 3 other younger boys, and a business, and I need to make this thing work. And so I just want to stop here for a second, because as you build and as you pursue vision, life is going to throw things your way, and it's going to be an opportunity for you to stop everything and lose momentum. But those are the moments that you need to push through and say, I'm going to do it for them. I'm going to do what I know I'm supposed to do despite my circumstances. So I literally called my mom. She drove from out of state. A friend from high school drove from out of state so I could leave the babies in safe hands. I grabbed my breast pump, and I jumped on an airplane, and I went to FHL, and it changed everything. One funnel away, I was seeing all those ads, one funnel away, and it just spoke to my soul, and I was like, I know, I believe what Russell's saying is true. Guys, I want to see your hands right now. How many of you guys believe that what he's saying is real? Look at all of these people crossing stage and doing the thing. This is real. It's real. So I came out of that, and here's a story that I haven't really told very many people either, is that Nathan was a full-time coach wrestling. He was a full-time teacher, and he had a really great job, and I came back from FHL, and we sat down together, and we said, okay, it's time to burn every ship in the harbor. It's time to do funnels or nothing. It's funnels or nothing. Everything else is gone. If I can't make this work, then it's all for naught. And so we basically grabbed each other's hands and jumped off the cliff, and we said, well, one way or another, this parachute's going to open. And he quit his job. Thank you. Yes. It's scary sometimes what we do, but it's worth it. So we jumped off the cliff, and he quit his job, and I was hacking funnels. I was building my funnel. I was doing the thing. And I read Expert Secrets. So this book changed my life. Everything I read in there, never once was I like, is this going to work for my business? I was like, okay. I was literally like taking every page and taking his scenarios and replacing it with my own, and taking everything that he was saying, and I was like, how can I make this work for soap and lotion and the new opportunity and the big domino and all of these amazing things? Who wants a piece of that? Expert Secrets. It's amazing. So step number 1, I built my funnel, and I launched my product, and nobody was buying it. And I was like, okay, I had this $200 skincare kit on the front end. And so I realized, okay, we got to like peel it down now. So for all of you right now that are launching your e-commerce business, make sure that you keep it simple. You sell a product that's like your hero product, one thing that you can be profitable with, and of course you can sell more on your upsells and do all that stuff. But minimum viable product was a real big game changer for me. And then make sure that you read secret number 3 in Expert Secrets. Russell says that the difference between having some modest success and changing the world comes down to understanding and implementing the new opportunity. So wouldn't you guys say that it's pretty important that you understand the new opportunity? Yes. The how to make the new opportunity work is the framework that here with the perfect webinar. So that's basically like the wind in the sails to the new opportunity, which is what I basically had worked so hard to innovate that I'd already had a product line that I knew that I could tap into and create this whole new opportunity. So I'm going to go over, basically your framework is your intellectual selling. So you're going to basically just use your head. And then we're going to talk a little bit about the emotional connection piece of selling. So you've got your intro, which has got your hook, your future pacing, and your qualifying yourself. So also, I should probably tell you a little bit about this part of the story, and then we'll do a little bit more teaching. And then I'm actually going to do the perfect webinar live for you today. Woo! So came out of that, a Funnel Hacker Live, built my funnel, did my webinar over and over and over, and I did it wrong a lot at first. And I had like my papers, and I was like, you know, doing this on the screen, and the first time I recorded it, it was like backwards, and they're like, we can't read your screen, and it was like super awkward. But I kept doing it, and we had 3 weeks left before we were literally be out of money and running out of the homeless. Basically, we were gonna have no money to pay our rent. 3 weeks, and we hit gold after months and months of building and tweaking and perfecting. And we did $130,000 in our first 6 weeks and almost $2 million in our first year with the perfect webinar and the funnel. Yes. And every time I practiced this part of the speech, I've cried, so I'm glad I got through that without crying. But we literally, the first thing we did was we went out and filled our fridge. We went grocery shopping for stuff that you can't buy when you don't have money. So the framework, you got your intro. The big domino. This is where people get really hung up on. So what is the one thing you want your customer to believe or understand during your pitch? Don't get caught up in having 3 messages within your perfect webinar. Keep it simple. What's the one big domino? And that's really what took me the most time. It took me a lot of time to refine that. And finally, I was in meditation. And I'm okay, this is just dropped. I was okay, I'm gonna try that. And I literally, after having practiced it over and over and over again, I sat in front of my camera and I looked at the camera and I remembered all the stories and all the people and the moments that I had spent with them and the times that I remembered that these aren't audiences and this isn't traffic. This is people who have stories and pain, and I want to speak to their soul. So I sat in front of the camera and I scrapped the script and I recorded it, and it was game over. We started converting within a couple of days after that one worked, and then did 130,000, like I said. So get the big domino, go really deep on that part. Make sure you get that part right. And then your 3 secrets are going to support the big domino and break and rebuild false belief patterns, right? Lead them, have breadcrumbs, upsells, and urgency and scarcity, and then close. And then with the EQ selling, this is the emotional selling part, have charisma. Okay, I'm sorry. Come find me later. I was charisma. Okay, make sure that you're selling from the heart, that you're not pretentious, that you're focusing on them, that you're being real, raw, and you're speaking to their pain. And then the tone, have inflection, have crescendos and decrescendos, and really watch back. This is really key, too. I was going to tell this story about Jimi Hendrix, but my husband's a musician. He's if you're not feeling it when you're playing, you shouldn't be playing. So get to the point where it's gone from here to here when you get it, and then you're connecting when you're doing your webinar. And then the final thing is watch back on your tapes. I hear people say this all the time. I don't watch my videos because I don't want to watch myself. And I'm no, just like a coach watches his team, you have to go back and watch yourself and hear from the customer's perspective. Watch your intonation, watch your inflection, watch where you need to bring things up or down or change words, and hear their thoughts as you're talking. Be in their mindset and then make those tweaks. So are you guys ready to hear the perfect webinar? Okay. Awesome. By the way, every one of you guys have the script now, the great Jim Edwards. I took it from 90 minutes, Russell's 90-minute webinar, down to 5 minutes, and then Jim scripted it for you so you can plug and play your own webinar. Did you know that the most powerful ingredient for your skin does not come from plants? I know it sounds crazy because we're so used to hearing about herbal oils and essential oils and herbal extracts, but the truth is there's something even more powerful for your skin. And today, I'm going to share with you 3 secrets that are going to revolutionize the way that you do skin and the condition of your skin. I'm Jaime Cross. I'm a master herbalist, and I've helped thousands of people overcome dry, cracked, flaky, itchy, problematic, breakout-prone, lackluster skin. So what is this secret ingredient I'm talking about? It's actually farm fresh raw beeswax. And I know what you're probably thinking, beeswax is heavy, it's gonna leave me sticky, it's gonna break out and clog my pores, but I'm gonna show you a way that you can incorporate farm fresh beeswax into your daily skincare ritual so that you can get the skin that you've always dreamed of. So secret number 1 is that beeswax is a humectant. So it draws moisture from the air and it locks it into your skin. Why is this so important? Because if you look at your lotion right now, you probably see water as the first or second ingredient. And water attracts water, so when you apply it to your skin, it's actually removing moisture from your skin and causing all of these other downfalls of skin problems. Secret number 2 is that beeswax is an antiseptic, and it's breathable. So it's not only not going to clog your pores, but it's going to help you prevent future breakouts and keep your skin clear and clean and glowing. And the third secret is that it is rich in vitamin A. And that's important because vitamin A is what helps your skin to produce collagen, which is good for anti-aging. So if you're looking for that healthy glow and those clean, clear skin, you definitely need farm fresh beeswax. And also, you might be looking at your ingredients right now saying, well, there's beeswax in here. It's actually called Cera alba, Cera alba. That's beeswax that has been imported, it's been denatured and bleached, so it no longer contains the nutritive properties that farm fresh raw beeswax contains. So you might be asking, okay, well, how do I get access to this beeswax? I've actually created this amazing facial lotion bar that you leave in your shower, and right before you get out, while your skin is still wet, you leave it on your skin, and it does all of those things I just mentioned. It's going to nurture, protect, and I have a proprietary blend of essential and herbal oils that are going to support your skin's natural healing process. So go ahead and click on the link below, and you can get access to it today. Beeswax is not always available, so prices are going to go up. Make sure that you get it today. If you don't, we may not have it tomorrow, and right now we're in stock. So again, click on the link below, and we will see you on the inside. Thank you, Funnel Hackers!